Hey, everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of the Gauntlet podcast. And we hope you guys are all ready to step into the Gauntlet and talk about some football, going over the latest news and rumors of the NFL, as well as a lot of other stuff. So, gentlemen, how are you guys all doing tonight?
Good.
Doing well. Yeah, I'm good.
Awesome,
Feeling
man.
good.
Feeling great.
Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our official sponsor, La Terrain. They're a company that's based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they sell the best of the best men's luxury watches, all kinds of accessories. You can get belts, bags, all kinds of stuff on there, hats, sunglasses, whatever you're really looking for. They pretty much have it. So they're helping us out, and we're also helping them out with this partnership. So if you guys would like to go check them out, the link is in the description down below. And you can also use promo code PhillyGym for 10% off of everything on the site. So I hope you guys will consider checking that stuff out. So without further ado, we're going to go over the latest NFL news and rumors. There was a few transactions that I wanted to bring up that happened. Few contract extensions were done today. First of all, TJ Watt, they have not revealed how much money he's going to make, but when you look at the market for pass rushers, he's probably going to be making a lot of money. And what the season that he had last year, if it wasn't for Aaron Donald being the dominating force that he is, he would have most likely won the Defensive Player of the Year. So I definitely do think a contract extension is warranted for him. So what are your guys' thoughts on TJ Watt and the potential big money extension that he's going to be getting? Anybody want to go?
Supposedly the rumor. Does anyone know offhand who's got the biggest contract in the league on defense right now?
Let me check that real quick.
Wasn't it Jalen Ramsey?
It might be Aaron Donald.
It might be Donald, yeah.
Or didn't Jalen Ramsey make
the article I read earlier said that Watt was going to get probably the richest contract for a defensive player.
Okay, so it says Joey Bosa is the highest paid defensive player in the league right now with $27 million per year.
Bosa, okay.
So
he's pretty injury prone, so that's kind of
So TJ Watt probably sets the market, and then Aaron Donald sets it again when his contract's up.
You know, Joey Bosa been flexing on the league since he came into the league. How he got his first contract, he wasn't signing that BS. He's been flexing them for a minute.
Well, I mean, he's very talented, but he has been hurt a lot. To be fair,
Bosa was one of the ones. He was rumored to be one of the ones that Frisco was putting out there when they were trying to make that trade for Stafford. One of the many, a player and a pick instead of multiple picks. I mean, I would have taken him.
Thank God they didn't do that.
So, what are you guys' thoughts on him getting extended? You think he really deserves it, or?
I think he does. I think that he's been one of the better, if not the best, player on that defense for the last couple of seasons. I think it's warranted. One of the, you talk about the edge rushers, and, the Khalil Max, and TJ Watt, he's on his way up there. I think also he's got something to measure up to because he sees Big Brother. He did his thing his whole career, so he's got something to shoot for, And I think so far he's answered the bell every season he's been in. So I feel like the payday is warranted. If anyone should get that money on the defense, it should be TJ Watt.
It was bound to happen after they saw Bud leave. They had to lock up the other edge rusher before he decided that he was going to figure out what he wanted to do for himself. So it's definitely warranted, but he had more leverage than anyone because they knew that he could say, yo, you know what? I'm still going to think about weighing my options. And they're going to be like, whoa, no, bruh. What's your number? Because we can't afford to see Bud leave and then you leave as well. And then we're stuck in the same situation we've been in before you two got here. I ain't mad at it. Do your thing, bruh. You'll be lined up against Ronnie Stanley, who got his extension as well, the two best players on offense and defense probably in the AFC North. So it's like, let's get it going. Good for him.
Yeah, man. It's I mean, it makes perfect sense if you're in Pittsburgh. You're thinking, let me go ahead and lock him up after one good season, because the longer we wait, the more we're going to have to pay, right? Because the rates are going up and up. Like right now, Joey Bosa is making, I think, $27 million a year. He's the highest paid defensive player. The rumor I've read is that this Watt deal is going to be more than that. So, he's going to get paid. But like I said, it's just like quarterbacks, right? It's just like every position. Every year that you wait, the numbers go up. The faster you can get it done, you can kind of. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But you know what I'm saying as far as the numbers are going to go up. You're not going to come in and you're one of the best defensive players in the league and say, oh, I'll take less than this guy. No, you're going to have to pay me more than him, And then every year that's going to go up. It's going to top and top and top and top. So that's how, I think about it.
The market
deserves money.
Reset.
And you know
Pretty
what?
much,
and real quick to Cool's point, and it depends on the player. Do you want to strike while the iron is hot? Because the last thing you want him to do is walk to another team.
Exactly.
Some players may feel like, man,
That's
I'm not
true.
getting paid over here. I might go see what Indy's talking about. I might go see what the Ravens is talking about. Ultimately, you don't want to lose that kind of asset, so you want to pay them right now.
Absolutely.
It seems like the league in general, they get it right more often, at least with like DNs versus like quarterbacks. Quarterbacks, it's like what contract is up. If they're anywhere, approaching top tier, they're just getting that money regardless. Like that.
Yeah, I kind of figured Pittsburgh would do it. I will say that when Bud Dupree went down last year, though, TJ Watt was, getting double teamed a lot more, and they were making it a lot more difficult for Pittsburgh. They were 11-0. Bud Dupree gets hurt. They lose the last 5 games of the season, go to the playoffs, get blown out by Cleveland in the first quarter of that game. So I do think, with a hurt offensive line right now, like they need to think about that going forward for their future after signing one of their best football players on the team.
And when you're building a team, when you're building a team that's you want to be championship caliber, it's about the trenches. It's about the offensive line. It's about your front seven, but the front four is very important. Having those horses up front that can go get after the quarterback and clog up those running games, stop the running game, and then get to the quarterback consistently, getting pressure. So that's why I think defensive linemen are paid as much as they are.
And to
Pittsburgh's still trending down, though. The question is how far.
Yeah. To James's point, Pittsburgh has a history of having an elite defense. And so I feel like they're doing the right thing by paying him to be the leader of that defense because they want to return back to the glory days of the Steel Curtain, the 2005 defense to 2008, 2009. They want to keep that tradition going that's been going on for 50, 60 years. So I mean, it's been working in the past, and it's won them championships, so I stopped. I think that the beginning of the comeback of that defense will start with TJ Watt.
Possibly.
Absolutely.
But
that's a very good point because, I mean, it's all about defense nowadays. I mean, we talk about the offense, but especially for a team like Pittsburgh, they've always built the defense. They've always had the solid defense, and then were able to place players in on the offensive side of the ball. Not scrubs by far, but, guys that may not be the best at the position, but guys that can get it done with a pretty solid quarterback. Ball control, good defense, stay in it, get a couple of championships. You got to kind of blow it up and redo it. But like you said, TJ Watt's a great piece to try to rebuild that defense around. Got some young players on offense. You're going to have to figure out what to do at quarterback in the next year or two. But whoever you have, it doesn't hurt to have a good defense.
They need to fix that offensive line. Pittsburgh's O-line is as bad as it's been since I can't remember when.
But at the end of the day, it's also about the fact of the matter they haven't had good corners since Rod Woodson. So in a league like this today, if you neutralize TJ Watt, you better have somebody on the back end that can cover. And so they had good corners,
which they don't really have right now.
And at the end of the day, basically what they're now trying to see is they've been trying both sides. Remember a while ago when they had a horrible defense, their offense was high flying with the triple Bs, couldn't get it done. Now they're somewhat suspect, but defense is top notch, and they're still not getting it done. So at the end of the day, you can have an O-line, you can have things like that, but you need to look at other positions before you decide to say how you're going to get to the next level, because other positions are very critical. The most critical position needed to succeed is the one that they may need to think about when it comes to how they want to get to the next level again.
Yeah. So let's actually move on to the next signing that I want to talk about, which is Robbie Anderson signing a 2-year extension worth around $29 million with the Carolina Panthers. Had a really good season, over 1,000 yards last year. He's in that offense with Sam Darnold coming in, and DJ Moore is also a really good receiver that's there. So I think it's a good signing for what he was able to do. If he's able to get 1,000 yards every year, then that's really productive numbers for having a good receiver. So I like Robbie Anderson's game. I love his speed. He's very explosive. So I like it for the Panthers. I think he's a good fit for that team, and he's still young, so he can still improve. I don't think he's reached his ceiling yet, and I think he's actually pretty underrated, honestly. So I like the move. I like the signing by the Panthers.
Yeah, I've seen him play. I'm actually in Charlotte, so I hear a lot about the Panthers. Different talk about really good players on the team, and Robbie Anderson's a name that comes up often as a guy that a lot of people kind of wanted to get that extension and have him around for a few years. They're betting on Sam Darnold. We'll see how that works. Either it's going to be really well, and they're going to be able to rehabilitate him, and kind of putting him in a different situation with different coaches is going to make a big difference in how he plays, or you're going to be looking for a top draft pick next year. So we're going to see how that goes. But as far as Robbie Anderson, you got CMC here. You got, like you said, DJ Moore. Not a lot at the tight end position as far as offense. So as far as pass catching or anything of that nature. So getting guys that have been productive in your system and keeping them around makes a whole lot of sense for a team that's kind of in – they don't want to call it a rebuild, so I guess I'll say more like a retooling session, right? You're kind of tweaking it. And again, this is a team that has a young defense, but they got a lot of pieces, to the point that Joseph made earlier. They have a lot of pieces here, including some good, pretty solid cornerbacks. So it's just a matter of getting the offense together, having a guy like Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore. Hopefully they can get what they need out of Sam Darnold. Christian McCaffrey will be healthy this year. This team is is poised to maybe shock some people and at least be a 500 team this year.
The team has a much better offense than they're getting a lot of credit.
Go away.
Wes, he did play with Sam Darnold in New York with the Jets.
Yeah, he did.
They have a much better offense than people are giving them credit for, because you have.
I agree with
Robbie Moore, DJ Anderson, Christian McCaffrey, and then their rookie draft pick Chuba Hubbard, who's a workhorse, is going to be highly talented.
Yeah, they got him.
They kind of have a shaky offensive line, though, in my opinion, personally.
Yeah.
They do.
Carolina
but
sniffing 500.
The good thing about having backs that can catch out the backfield is when stuff breaks down, you have at least something that you can try to throw to that can try to make something out of nothing. And we already know C-Mac can do that. And we also know Chuba's got to work for us. So I love the move of Robbie Anderson. The man is a productive slot receiver. Or pretty much whenever you want him to line him up, he's going to get there. And they're basically telling Sam, man,
home run threat.
We're trying to give you all the links that you need. We're trying to give you all the offense that you need. And the O-line is suspect for sure, but
you can scheme around an offensive line that has holes in it.
If you got the weapons,
first of all, you have to
get the ball off fast. So
you have to get the ball out of your hands fast. That's another thing. And the third thing is, if you have a quarterback with some mobility,
I was just about to say that.
Sam can move a little bit. He's not a terrible athlete. He can move a little bit. So you got to use his mobility. You got to use bootlegs, move the pocket, get him on the run. Because if you drop him back every time and he has to hold the ball for a certain amount of time, it may not end well. But if you move the pocket and let him use his mobility, that's another thing that could work out in your favor.
Yeah, Matt Rule, and another thing is Matt Rule. This is about to be his second year, so it's still a relatively new system. The fact that he put up 1,000 yards in a new system like that speaks volume. I think.
Cool. All right. What's up, Birdman? What's up, Mitch? Can you guys drop your links in the chat? Yeah.
And you know what? I think that Sam Darnold is a little bit more mobile than people give him credit for, because I remember his days at USC, and the man got some wheels. He got some wheels now. It helps that he is mobile, so he can get out the pocket, and he can throw the screen. He can dump it off to C-Mac, or he can find Robbie on the slide and whatnot. He knows how to use his legs to get out of there. I think Darnold's in a better situation. I think with Robbie Anderson and them reuniting, they've already been on the same page. All you gotta do is just click and get it back. You know,
but could Sam have even went to a worse situation than where he was, Jay?
I mean, with the Jets, absolutely not.
With the Jets, yeah, that was.
The Jets were horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, Adam Gase is like coach purgatory. If you're trying to develop players, they will go in the opposite direction if you're being led by Adam Gase.
That's a bad roster.
It goes without saying.
Well,
that was definitely not going to make it better.
I'll put it to you like this. At one point in time, Adam Gase had Tannehill, Kenyon Drake, and Devontae Parker. As soon as he left, Tannehill became the quarterback we thought he could be. Kenyon Drake got paid out in Zona, and Devontae Parker's finally coming out. Meanwhile, he goes to the Jets. The Jets went backwards.
Grizz says
he cost him the first pick on top of everything else.
Adam Gase is Jeff Fisher without a mustache.
To be honest with you, Jay,
he's another one. He's Matt.
I mean,
that's a good one.
To be honest
guy
with you,
in the room
Jay,
with no actual accomplishment. I didn't know that Robbie Anderson's contract was coming, coming up to be expiring, but now it makes sense as to why they didn't re-sign Chris Samuel. I mean, they knew they weren't going to anyways because he was going to get overpaid. But
yes, and he's currently hurt with Washington right now.
Deal, didn't he, from Washington?
Yeah, and I think he's going to be good there.
He's pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah, he's got his own roommate there. So
Hold on. Dom, you just said he was going to probably be overpaid, but then you just said you like him as a player.
I do. He was.
I mean, he's okay. I don't see him being anything
special. I wanted him in Green Bay, to be honest, this offseason. He was one of the guys that I wanted. But I knew when he got paid the way he did, it was out of our limit.
It's just that they already have DJ Moore on his rookie contract still, and he's good, super underrated. They had Robbie Anderson. Samuel was the man out.
They also drafted Terrence Marshall from LSU to replace Curtis Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
So
that made
Terrence Marshall was good.
Oh yeah, Curtis. What did I say, Chris?
He did not drop a single pass in the red zone last season with LSU.
Nice. I thought you were about to be facetious and say he hasn't dropped a rookie NFL pass as a rookie yet.
No, I'm talking about just his last season at LSU. He got a lot more opportunities to get the ball more because of Jamar Chase sitting out due to COVID-19 going on.
Well, they're going to be going up against some talented corners down in that NFC South. They got some talented corners.
There are some good defenses for sure. Okay, and let's talk about what the biggest news I want to talk about as far as everything that's going on in the NFL, and that is Mr. Larry Fitzgerald. He was talking to someone, and he apparently told them that, his heart's just really not in the game right now. He doesn't really want to play. That could change, if it gets to like November or December, and he wants to join a team that'll give him a chance to win a ring. He might, but it's looking like he's more likely to retire from the league. So I just want to go over his great career that he has had. And he doesn't really get talked about, when you talk about Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, some of the other great receivers of his era, he kind of gets overshadowed. But for me, Larry Fitzgerald has just been the model of consistency. Mm-hmm. He has more tackles in his career than drops, which I want to say, it's not really that surprising for me with the amount of terrible quarterbacks that he has played with. He's probably had to chase down, a lot of pick sixes, but he's been outstanding. He was the 2016 Walter Payton Man of the Year, so he's also a very good person and does a lot to help his community out. He was only one time a first-team All-Pro, which I found very surprising.
Yeah.
Made it twice on the second team. 11-time Pro Bowler, led the league in receptions back-to-back years in 2008 and 2009. And overall for his career, he's got over 1,430 receptions, for 17,492 yards and 121 total receiving touchdowns. So overall, when I look at Larry Fitzgerald, just a complete model of consistency. And NFL fans will certainly miss him if he does decide to retire.
Yeah, absolutely. Larry, even dating back to when he was up for Heisman at the University of Pittsburgh
in their vicinity.
Yeah.
Are they the only one that heard that?
What? What'd you hear?
What did you just say?
Something that sounded like a velociraptor in the room, not in my room.
Damn, Tom, what? Did you fucking hit some acid before tonight?
Are you drunk? Are you drunk right now?
But
probably had too many White Claws.
Could have been me. I don't know.
White Claw boy.
I understand he's like 38. He's 38. He's been at it for a long time. Yeah, he absolutely has.
Hey, if I'm not
I'll say this, man.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he's the only athlete to have graced the cover of both NCAA football and Madden.
Off the top of my head, he's the only one I can think of.
I think so, yeah. Me personally, I think he's a Hall of Famer. Half his career, he did reach a Super Bowl, but
he's for sure a Hall of Famer. There ain't no if you're not putting Larry in the Hall of Fame, yeah, he's for sure a Hall of Famer.
No problem, exactly.
Yeah, just go get that man his gold jacket.
For half his career, he probably was the best player on a bad team for like half his career. They call him. They don't call him Larry Hands for nothing. If anybody was dependable,
he doesn't drop anything.
Over the last 10, 15 years, it's him. So absolutely, he's a Hall of Famer in my opinion. If he does decide to go somewhere else, I think it's going to be one of those don't expect him to be he'll be there in like a veteran leadership role, but don't expect him to be the main dude. He's just going to kind of ride it out to a ring. Should he go to like a contender or something like that? We still kind of feel like,
and I would be fine with that because he's given enough to the game.
He's given enough. He earned it.
Go ahead, Jeff.
If you follow team, a contender with a really young receiving core, that's where he'll go.
Not necessarily has to be a young receiving core. He could ride the coattails of a Tampa Bay team because Tom Brady has been dying to play with him. He has always said if there was ever a wide receiver that he would have wanted to play with, it'd be Larry Fitzgerald. Now, if you've known Larry Fitzgerald his entire life,
fucking scary. I hope not.
Larry Fitzgerald has been destined for greatness since he was a kid. When he was on the Minnesota Vikings team as a ball boy, he learned how to be a pro at such an early age, and then got into exactly. I don't care what nobody says into this honesty because I have a lot of respect for that guy from Georgia Tech. But if you gave me a choice between the guy from Georgia Tech or the guy from Pittsburgh, I'm taking the guy from Pittsburgh because he may not be as athletic as him. He may not be as fast or as tall, but you can't look in either one's career and find one thing that Calvin has done that Larry hasn't. Larry has caught balls in triple coverage. He has caught balls in double coverage. He has got 100 and some yards in a Super Bowl and gave the game-winning touchdown. He has done everything that you would expect a top-tier, number one overall legend status wide receiver to do, which is why the number one wide receiver of all time, Jerry Rice, has said the one person that he thought was going to break his record was the one that he considered the best receiver in the game, which was Larry Fitzgerald. So at the end of the day,
Larry's won playoff games too. Just a few years ago, they played the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers throws a fucking crazy Hail Mary to send this game to overtime. And Larry, on the very next play, beat him over the top, and the Cardinals won that game. I was a little salty at Larry, obviously. I was hurt for that game.
It's another example of Green Bay's defense letting Aaron Rodgers down.
Hey, or not playing preventive defense and not fucking putting a safety in the back. I could talk about that, too, on that cover one robber that fucking happened to Kevin King in the NFC Championship. But
we're going to talk about Kevin later on in the show during the Sports Morons segment.
To your point, I was there. One of the most sad moments I've ever had in the NFL in the last 10 years was what happened with Arizona and Larry Fitzgerald and their last chance to get a Super Bowl against Carolina. The way they unfortunately went out, I felt so bad for him because that was the year I thought I was like, oh my gosh, it's his second chance at getting the title. This is it. And they actually had a good team. And the way they unfortunately just went out, it was like, damn, they're never going to get back to this. again, and so he.
And I've rooted for Larry. Like I rooted for him in that Super Bowl in 09, Super Bowl 43 or whatever against Pittsburgh. Like, you know, I really respect Larry Fitzgerald. But yeah, just coming to mind talking about what a great player he is. I pick my team and then pick a devastating moment that what Larry did to us. And that's just one team. Larry's done this to a lot of teams. Like Larry,
I'll tell you,
is one of the
devastating moment that he did to the Eagles.
He destroyed us.
Yeah.
So
almost every time he played against us.
All the moments that he had against us, the most devastating thing that Larry Fitzgerald did was come out and say that at one point he was going to come to the Eagles, but then he changed his mind and went back to Arizona. That was the most devastating thing that Larry Fitzgerald ever did to the Philadelphia Eagles. To be as a player, man,
I'm gonna take a shot.
I'm calling
Larry
DSO Larry
right here.
Yeah.
I'm
calling
DSO
Larry.
Better on YouTube. I'm taking a shot for Fitz.
I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's being smart. He's being a veteran. I'm not going to camp. I'm leaving my options open. I'm going to go somewhere where I have a good opportunity to win, or at least mentor a good young group and have kind of a solid role. Maybe not the number one receiver, but a solid role. A team that you always talk about that needs receivers is the Ravens. We always talk about how Baltimore says that. So that may be a spot where he slides in and says, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna wait until training camp's over. Teams will kind of cut their rosters down and kind of see where I can slide in.
Yeah, I bet you would
maybe make a difference."
I don't think Larry would consider Philadelphia right now because of I feel like he would rather go to a place where he has a real chance to win. But I feel that the Eagles do have a need for a veteran receiver because this receiving core is very young. All these guys are very young. Devontae Smith's a rookie. Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, second-year players. So the Eagles could use that type of a veteran presence in the locker room.
And the great thing about him is he's just like Tom Brady in the way that he trains. The man has been doing it because he was on the cover of Men's Fitness like 10 years ago.
I remember that, yeah.
And he talks about his training was always muscle expansion, longevity, sustaining, an optimal shape like Tom Brady does. So, whenever you get him, he's going to be in shape. He's never not out of shape. And at the end of the day, to the point with the Ravens, I would love that because at the end of the day, I can look at all the playoff losses that we've had, and there's been one moment that you had to just throw it up and just hope somebody caught it. That would be the moment for a veteran like him to be the next play for us to get to the next level for a young quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Because all you have to do is just get us to the next level. Just make that catch. That's it. And I wouldn't think there's any other receiver that can't do that. And so,
or win it in crunch time. That's what my point with Larry is. Larry's almost like Reggie Miller. The dude shows up in the biggest moments.
Let everybody else do it for 3.5 quarters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let him take control when it's needed.
Yeah,
perfect role.
And Larry Fitzgerald, he came to I think it was Joseph's point. It was so bad. He came so close to being the hero of Super Bowl 43. How bad it was literally the week after Super Bowl 43, Arizona fired their defensive coordinator because of the final drive.
Right. He let him down.
That's how bad it was. Like,
the defense let him down.
Like, you just robbed Larry. If anyone on the team deserved the ring, it was Larry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. A lot of time with bad quarterbacks, and he still got super stats and had a major career. He never really had a really great quarterback.
You drinking over there, Dom?
What you think you got?
White Claw. You got the White Claws.
Is there some vodka in it?
What about you, Jay? You drinking?
I got gin and lemonade tonight.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got Crown in the kitchen, but I forgot to grab it before I came in.
But right on cue, man. I got my margarita just come over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody cheers to Larry Fitzgerald.
Service going on over there?
Cheers. Yeah. Cheers, Larry Fitz. I could do that. Could do that.
All right.
You see how big this joint is?
So hopefully.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one right there.
It would be really sad if he didn't retire with a ring, but he's earned the right to make whatever decision he wants to make. So
James, sir, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was thinking about that because I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, as if I would be upset that he didn't get a ring, but at the end of the day, he did his absolute best to get one. I can't say there was never at a moment on any team that had a chance to really win it. They didn't do their best, because even when they lost, they went out fighting. They weren't a team that was just like, his teams didn't give up. So I would say,
he's a first ballot Hall of Famer to me.
No question.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the only receiver, I think, of this modern era outside. So he got selected to the Centennial team. Every NFL executive that's ever been around him has said that's the one. They would love a player like him. Arizona had a
Jerry Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Model of consistency. So now we're going to go over the second week of preseason in the NFL. There were a lot of games going on, and there was some big moments that I want to talk about. Chicago Bears being the main one, where Justin Fields got lit up, son.
Yeah.
And the week before, we heard his comments that he made about the game being slow, and his teammates helped him slow down the game. I think life comes at you fast and real fast in that game. I don't know if that guy's going to even make the team. But I believe he did get fined for that hit, but around 10, 15 years ago, I think that would have been a clean hit, and the NFL has just done a lot to protect the quarterbacks. But Justin Fields absolutely got lit up. So what are you guys thinking about that play, and how well or how bad the Chicago Bears looked in that game?
I didn't even see that hit. Can you pull it up?
Oh, I loved it.
I mean,
as a Packer fan, I'll speak first, I guess. I fucking loved it. I thought the hit was brutally clean. I loved it. This is what I love about the NFL. Second streamers, second team goes out there and fucking bashes him. Like, this is, yeah, exactly. They came at him a little bit quicker this week than they did the week before, I guess, for Justin. I heard Justin's comment. I heard Justin's comments too. Like, I understand, what he was trying to say and stuff like that. But Buffalo kicked their ass like they wanted to. Mitch Trubisky looked like he was fucking Patrick Mahomes out there.
Yeah,
it was
really
crazy.
Was lighting them up.
I mean,
Chicago gonna Chicago in football. That's how I feel.
It was just a welcome to the NFL. Nothing more. You got talking. Let me welcome you into NFL in this way. That was it. And at the end of the day, I ain't mad at you, man. I mean, that's what happens. You talk it, you're going to find out. All right, bet. Now we're going to tell him, we're going to see if he's going to respond. And I think he's going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine.
I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah,
it's kind of surprising that the Chicago Bears are deciding that Andy Dalton.
I think like with Justin Fields, just to put one more point out there before you speak, James, is that I hear that everyone keeps telling me, like, he's going to be really good. He's going to be really good. He's going to be really good. And I still believe he could be a very good quarterback, but I'm not as high on the fact that he's just going to have this Justin Herbert, like, rookie of the year season. I think there's going to be growing pains there. Chicago's offensive line ain't that great.
I don't see him being like rookie. I don't see him winning the rookie of the year.
Oh, not at all.
Honestly. But you know what? I think that he's probably the best quarterback that the Bears have had.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Possibly ever.
Yeah, 60 years.
I think he has a pretty good ceiling. But the Bears they're going with Andy Dalton as their starting quarterback for this season. At least for now, unless things go.
They just don't want to throw. They don't want to throw Fields out there against Aaron Donald in week one.
Justin Fields.
There's no reason to press him into action.
Justin Fields is the last chance that Matt Nagy has of saving his job.
I'm telling y'all,
he will be fired after this season.
Bad situation.
All I can say to Justin Fields is ice up, son. You got one of those ice up son hits. You know what I'm saying? You got, like you said, welcome to the NFL, ice up all that.
And for Bears fans, they have to hope he's good. They did trade a lot to move up to get him in this draft, just like they did with Mitch Trubisky. It wasn't just like one of those, I'm going to throw you additional pick, and move up. Like, no, they had to mortgage a little bit, so the Bears need him to be good. Yeah.
I'll say this, man. I think Fields was the second best quarterback in the draft.
Yep.
Personally. That's my opinion. So if you can get the second best quarterback in the draft where the Bears were at and where they had to move to, you have to pull the plug on that because at the end of the day, you need a quarterback. You got Khalil Mack, right? You got a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, if you don't have a quarterback, you're in trouble.
You're not going to win.
We all know that. You had to try.
That especially holds true for the Bears because if I'm not mistaken, the Bears are the only franchise not to yield a 4,000-yard passer.
Well, we're gonna see how good Justin Fields is because if he isn't, let's say, they took him fourth. He was the fourth quarterback taken, I believe, in this draft, right? Because Trey Lance went 3, Zach went 2. Yeah, so he was the fourth quarterback taken. But let's say someone behind him plays better. Let's say, Max or whatever that's on the Patriots plays better or something like that. Then it's going to be one of them scenarios that they're like, okay, well, we moved up for Trubisky and missed out on Mahomes. Did we miss out on another one? So, yeah, they absolutely need him to play well.
So I want to know something. When I look at this quarterback class, I think the first 4 quarterbacks that were taken that are all good, and I think they all have a pretty good ceiling.
I don't know why I say Max, by the way. I meant Mac. You guys know that.
I don't think that Mac Jones has that high of a ceiling, but I feel like he's going to be able to run Bill Belichick's system really well.
I think Trey Lance is, and I've been vocal on this before, I think Trey Lance has the most upside out of all the quarterbacks in this draft. I just do. I think he was put in a situation with like San Francisco where I like their receivers. I like Ayuk. I like a lot of their young receivers in San Francisco. So I think Trey Lance is going to be
crazy.
He's ready to play.
Trey Lance is clearly the best situation for a rookie quarterback to go into. This team was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Anybody
with
Josh Allen.
The
most raw.
Go ahead, Joe.
Anyone with Kyle Shanahan is going to be awesome. Anyone with Kyle Shanahan as a quarterback, as a rookie especially, is going to be awesome because he's going to just soak up everything that he talks about and everything that he's going to do. I still think Justin Fields is probably the better one of the two, and I personally have Justin Fields as my dark horse for Rookie of the Year because I think when he does get a chance to start, he's going to have a dynamic to them that's similar to what my quarterback brought to my team. At the end of the day, they both are. He has the same type of skill set, and actually is a very good thrower, just like my quarterback is. And I think coming in as a rookie, I could see similar success possible for them, especially with the playmakers they have on offense.
I actually see Jalen Hurts being a better comp to Lamar Jackson than what Justin Fields is.
Agreed.
Well, they're both the same.
I just want to talk about Mac Jones just real quick to Tyler's point. I think the biggest challenge for Mac Jones is going to be the same challenge that Tua's going through right now. This isn't Alabama. You're not going to have Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle 60 yards open downfield.
Right.
That's going to be like once in a blue moon. So you're going to have to put the ball in the right spots. You're going to have to put the ball where your man has a great chance of – it's going to be about precise throwing. It's been like that in the pros. This isn't the SEC. This isn't the Big 12.
I'm not
that sort of offensive line or running backs or defense.
To rebuttal that, I'm not saying that Mac Jones is going to be more talented than Justin Fields. I said he might be in a better situation.
No. I wasn't arguing you.
I know. I'm just putting out there that New England's defense is good. So Mac Jones is not going to be in this pressure situation where he's playing catch up a lot this season.
The Bears defense is good.
And if he can,
not as good.
I don't think is not that good.
Yeah,
other than Allen Robinson,
I don't think the Bears defense is better than New England's right now, though.
And being so young and coming into New England, the first thing he has to get out of his mind is he's not Tom Brady, but he doesn't have to be Tom Brady. Okay?
Right.
Like you said, they've got a stellar defense. Remember, half of them sat out last year because of COVID. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Right.
They're like a top 5.
That's the first thing.
They're like a top 5 defense in fantasy for a reason this year.
Yeah.
New England got some guys on that defense.
They had the last some odd years.
I'm not exactly sure that I think with Cam Newton in his bad year last year, nobody's going to come in thinking they have to be Tom Brady because they're already used to bad quarterback play in one short year. So at the end of the day, if you talk to Patriot fans, they have long accepted the fact that the next quarterback that comes in is not going to be who Tom Brady is. So I think that pressure is not going to be on him. It's just the pressure of knowing the playbook and listening to Bill Belichick as he's trying to guide you into a better quarterback for his team for the future.
And if he's better than,
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that that the fans are expecting him to be Brady, but being young coming in the game, you may feel like, man, I'm coming into a storied history the last 20 years. I gotta be this man. No, you don't have to. Just let Bill Belichick put you in a position to win. That's it.
Right. The kid from Auburn wasn't good, you know?
No.
They had just taken the kid from Auburn a couple of years ago, and he didn't work out. So they're in a different situation now. But yeah, I agree. They did get. They have a different offense, I will say, than the kid from Auburn now. Like now, they actually went out, got Jonnu Smith, got Hunter Henry, got what's his face from
Aguilar.
Yeah, Aguilar. Who, if anything, is good for speed. And
Bourne is the biggest pickup they had, though. Kendrick Bourne,
yes. Jacoby Myers isn't bad. Myers can catch the ball, so they have some guys now on that offense.
I think Damian Harris is a good running back.
Damian Harris
Max Jones has a low ceiling, but also very close to it. And he has probably the greatest coach in NFL history. He's got a good O-line. Their defense is good. Whoever they run out there at quarterback. And I think, honestly, it's going to be a combination of the two of them, just like New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, if you wait, you're actually making Mac Jones better, right? If you allow him more time to learn the system. If he's equal with Cam, you may be better still saying if he can't really beat Cam out of the job, let's let Cam play. Let's let him do his thing this year. If he gets hurt, if he falls, then we bring in, Matt. But at the end of the day, Mac's the future of the team. Cam Newton is not going to be their quarterback in the next 3, 4, 5 years. So if you're renting him for this year, using him to be a decent quarterback this year, letting him showcase himself so he can try to get a job somewhere else, that's pretty much all it is. So either way, we're going to get Mac Jones in New England if it's this year or if it's next year.
Absolutely.
And aside from the defense that they have in the receivers y'all just named, they got a 3-headed monster at running back too. So they got James White, he still got some miles left. He can catch out the backfield. They got Sony Michel, you can carry it up the gut. He can catch out the backfield. They got Damian Harris. So he's got a team on him.
And it's not like they were that bad, even with the guys they didn't have last year. They were 7-9 last year. Like their team's going to be competitive. That team's competitive this year.
So you think New England? Do you think New England is a threat to the Buffalo Bills?
I don't think they're a threat necessarily because I think Buffalo's a contender to win the whole thing. But I think New England can make the playoffs this year. Yes,
they can sneak in. Yeah.
So New England's better than Miami.
Both.
Yes. Yes.
Think about what receivers did the Patriots have when they won those titles versus the ones they had when they didn't.
So here's the thing:
David Given,
Deion Branch.
Here's
the thing that makes the Patriots better.
David Patton.
We already said what made the Patriots better.
The defense.
When they had the really good ones.
The tight ends. They got 2 starting tight ends that they brought in. The Patriots have been their best. 2 monsters headed at the tight end position.
And they were just in the media because I watched it on the Pat McAfee show. They were in the media a couple weeks ago when they played you guys, or last week when it was Philadelphia and New England, because they said that there could have been a tampering thing going on when Zach Ertz was talking to Bill Belichick, because it's been noted right now that New England is kind of interested in that. So that could happen sometime.
Well, the Philadelphia Eagles and New England Patriots actually were getting together this past week in Philadelphia for joint practices. They also had the preseason game as well. And, Ertz was talking to Coach Belichick, and Coach Belichick said that, he's been trying to get Ertz for years, but he can't get him because how he's going to ask for 2 first-round picks for him.
That's what Pat McAfee was saying.
Kind of jokingly said that, but yeah.
Ends though, at least one.
No, Ertz is not worth a first-round pick at this point in his career.
But I honestly,
the way you would give us one, I would take it.
Yeah, but I was gonna say for you guys, like Dallas Goedert's probably the starter, right?
Goddard is the best tight end on the
So trading Zach Ertz for a first-round pick would be fucking awesome for you guys.
Absolutely,
if we could, but his value is probably more or less around a 3rd to a 4th.
Right.
Yeah, we would get lucky if we were to be able to get a second out of him. especially after the year he had last year. You know how they feel about once you start getting a little age on you as a tight end and you don't have as good of a season, they start to talk about a drop-off. But we have a young tight end, Tyree Jackson. He's hurt, so he's not going to be able to play this year, but he was the standout. He was a standout by far at the tight end position in training camp and early in the preseason before he got injured. So he's a guy that may be coming back next year. So that gives me a little hope as an Eagles fan that, behind Goddard, we're going to have another guy who, if Goddard can't play or, we want to run 2 tight end sets, we're going to have another guy in the future that's, going to be able to take up that role that Goddard has had.
Yeah, now that we're talking about New England and Philadelphia, before we wrap up the preseason, there's been a lot of Eagles fans that have been, ready to go get in a bathtub with a plugged-in microwave and put it over their head.
Oh my gosh!
Because the Philadelphia Eagles were blown out. They were blown out 35-0 in the preseason against the New England Patriots. Basically, the Philadelphia Eagles, half the starters did not even dress for the game. Jalen Hurts got a stomach virus literally like 2 minutes before kickoff. He was warming up and dancing and stuff during warm-ups. And then all of a sudden he got food poisoning and he had to be rushed to the doctor as soon as possible. So the Eagles pretty much played a lot of their depth guys, and the depth did not look good at all. So if there are injuries, that is concerning, but it does not have me saying that the sky is falling as far as the upcoming season. I think that there are a lot of guys on this team, as far as our starters, who are going to perform very well. When the Eagles had a different starting offensive line every game last season, it made things very difficult. But with Lane Johnson and Brandon Brooks, 2 guys that have both been all pros on the right side of the line, that's going to make a big impact for Jalen Hurts because you want to have your young quarterback have good protection there. Jason Kelce is the best center in football right now, easily. And Jordan Mailata was a 7th-round pick. He was a rookie. He was a rugby player when he came to his rookie season. He's been working with the offensive line coach Jeff Stoutland to develop him and work on some technique things. And he's actually developed into a great starting left tackle, and he has clearly ran away with this competition against Andre Dillard. So, the Eagles have a good offensive line, and people are sleeping on it. And I feel that as long as injuries don't happen, this Eagles team will be very competitive. So that's why I'm not really saying the sky is falling over this preseason game.
And another thing, too, man, for all the teams who we talked about and who fans talk about that don't have, wide receiver, they don't have linemen, they don't have running back, they don't have this, they don't have that. Remember a couple of things. There's a lot of places where there's a battle for a position, right? For instance, in Philadelphia. Hey, if you want Andre Dillard, come talk to us. Once he's not the starter, that's somebody that can be made available. Then you're going to have cuts. So once you guys trim their rosters down, some of those better teams are going to have guys that would be an upgrade for some of the teams that don't have certain positions that are going to be out there that you're going to be able to sign and bring in and put on your team. So some of those teams are going to fill some of those holes. And I'm not saying they're going to fill them with, all NFL caliber players, Pro Bowl players, but with guys that can hold down that position and make it stronger than what it is. So I think we're going to get a lot of that for the teams. We get it every year. So that's going to help some of the teams. And I think we're a team that'll benefit from that as well. But not to be too much of a homer today, I'll simply say the teams that we talk about that are really good, but they just have like 1 or 2 things where you're like, if they had this, if they had that, they may get that, once those players become available. And we may be talking about a different situation with some of those teams in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I totally agree. So let's move. Let's go ahead and let's actually, now that we're talking about the Eagles, let's talk about the NFC East as a whole. So obviously, I feel that the Philadelphia Eagles are being slept on in this division. But when you look at the whole landscape of this division, everything that happened in the offseason, were there any really any moves that you look at and you say, oh man, the Giants really separated themselves. Washington really separated themselves. The Dallas Cowboys, they really separated themselves. If you're asking me, I say no. I don't feel that any of those teams separated themselves to be far above the other teams in the division.
But you're still
that is why I feel that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be competitive this year, and they are going to have a chance to win this division.
I don't feel like there were any moves.
Hell no.
I'm with you on that one. I don't feel like there were any moves that really separated anybody. I still feel the same way I did last year and the year before. That is, the NFC East is the most unpredictable team in the league. It's maybe the weakest division in the league, but the NFC East is
not maybe.
It's the most unpredictable division in the league. I feel like it's anyone's division. Now, on paper, they'd say the best offense would be like what? Dallas. Okay. I think if Philly can come around the corner and Jalen Hurts can have a solid season, a more than solid season, it can go to Philly. I think Washington has a good chance of repeating just off the defense alone. I think the Giants are, and we talked about this, I think an episode or two ago, I think the Giants are loaded. The only problem is at quarterback. But with that being said, I feel like this season is do or die.
Probably a big problem.
If the Giants fail, they will fire the coach and they're going to trade Daniel Jones. So I think for the Giants, it's divisional bust.
What?
Yeah, who the hell would want Daniel Jones?
If he has a shitty,
that's a good question.
I'm just saying
that is a great question.
I don't know who would want him, but I'm just telling you what's gonna happen.
I mean, I feel like this, man. I'll put it to you like this, man. We don't know what's going on with Dak Prescott and his shoulder. CeeDee Lamb is in the COVID protocols, right? So we already know once you hit those COVID protocols, if we look at last season, a lot of those guys weren't back to being the same player. That's one of the things that happened to Cam Newton last year, as well as other guys. So I think that we always look at Dallas. Every year, Dallas is a sexy pick. And I'm not talking about us here on the call, but I'm saying overall, you listen to the media, it's always Dallas is a sexy pick, right? But you look at the quarterbacks in our division. We don't know what's going on with Dak Prescott. Ryan Fitzpatrick is probably going to be the starter with the football team. I don't know about any of you guys on here, but he doesn't move a needle for me whatsoever.
At all.
If he does move it, he doesn't move it this way, he moves it that way, right?
He never has
anybody, Daniel Jones.
Depends on which Ryan Fitzpatrick you're talking about.
Well, if we're saying he's going to be the starter for the whole season, we're going to see all three of them.
Well, he's not going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ryan Fitzmagic the whole season. Exactly. He's going to be that for like 4 or 5 games. Then he's going to be terrible the rest of the season, going to get benched. Kyle Allen's going to come in. Kyle Allen's not going to play well. Then they're going to go back to Fitzpatrick, and they might go to Heineke at some point.
Yeah, I'm about to say
it's just going to be a mess.
Be the backup.
And Fitzpatrick did and ended seasons as a quarterback, but never with all those games in the middle.
I actually have watched them win this division, to be honest. Just as just as a prediction, and I completely see your guys' points. The Eagles absolutely could win it. I think the Cowboys could win it. To be honest, for me, there is nothing the Giants have done this year to prove to me that they're going to win this division. Nothing. They have been the worst storyline team so far of the preseason. Joe Judge is calling the cops on people. John Mora is over here talking about
whining and crying.
I don't like the Giants at all. I don't think they win 5 fucking football games this year.
I have them coming in last too.
Yeah, just personally.
Just to jump on that, Tyler.
Oh my
God! You can have it back up. I just want to simply say, the Giants, bro, y'all are pathetic. Like,
they're a joke.
You have the softest owner. You have a soft coach. And you're just mad because you suck so bad, and that's why you're always getting taunted. But maybe if you're a better team, you wouldn't be the one getting taunted.
And you got the softest fan base.
But the other 3, I think, could be competitive with one another, and either one of those 3 can win it.
The Giants also have the softest fan base. That's why when the Eagles pulled out Jalen Hurts in that last game, that's why you saw all the Giants fans having a meltdown, an emotional meltdown.
You Eagles,
like a teenage girl.
Even with the extra game, it's still a fucking race to 8.
Oh my gosh! You can actually
Eagles is winning.
Detroit Lions. I know
9 to 10 games.
The Eagles can win 8 games. We have one of the most favorable schedules.
I'm all for going on the division stuff, but Detroit Lions. Let's not act like you've done anything in the last 6 years either. You can't even get to 8 wins.
Talking about the Lions,
right? But I'm saying
not even talking about the Lions.
Division, if I had to bank on a team to make the playoffs, though, I would take any team
about the worst division in football.
Right, but what I'm saying is,
the Lions. To be fair, the Lions would probably still come in last if they were in the NFC East.
That's my point. Even if the Lions were, if I had to pick any of the teams between NFC East and the Lions to get to the playoffs and win, I'd give any NFC team even over you guys. No shade, but I'm saying though, no shade today. I think
It's still a race. Even with an extra game, it's still a race to 8.
You think they're going to be?
It won't be. It won't be.
You think they're going to be under 8, under 500 winning in the division? I don't think so. I think somebody's going to get 10
Daniel
wins.
Jones looks like.
Well, the Giants aren't winning 9 games.
That's a good one.
Nope.
The Eagles definitely aren't winning 9 games.
Mark that, please. Mark that. So when it does happen and we win at 9 or 10 games, you can just let them know you're wrong.
Honestly, I'm gonna be honest.
Because you're wrong.
I think Dallas has the best roster, and I think Dallas is going to get 10.
Oh wow!
And Dallas has questions.
I think Washington could get 10 with the defense and Antonio Gibson running the football.
So all of us pretty much have a different pick. Jay, who was your pick?
My pick. I think I'm. If I had to pick right now, I'm going to have to go with Washington. They got the best defense in the division.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jay.
And Dom, who are you picking?
We finally got a second corner that can play.
Steven Nelson.
Play Slay. So we got Steven Nelson and big play Slay on the outside.
I think
makes a big difference. It makes a
huge
huge
between
difference.
Philly, Dallas, and Washington, it's going to be competitive. I just don't agree that the Giants are in it. That's the only thing I disagree with. I think the Giants are out.
Hey, and I understand that. The only reason why I mention them is because the division is so unpredictable.
True.
This is the problem I have. Let me explain the problem I have. This is the problem I have with what people are saying about the Eagles right now. People are painting this picture of like the Eagles have one of the worst teams in the league right now.
They do.
No, they don't. No, they do not. When you look at this roster, it's not as bad of a roster as you think. We have a great defensive line. We have Fletcher Cox, who's a multiple-time All-Pro defensive line, one of the best interior defensive linemen in the league. We have Brandon Graham, who's very productive.
The Eagles roster, like, what's the biggest problem?
Probably depth. That's just certain positions.
Unproven
we have a young
coach. That's really it to me.
These guys have high ceilings. Devontae Smith is possibly the best receiver in this draft. When you look at what Jamar Chase has done, he has been not getting separation. He's been dropping a lot of balls. Devontae Smith does not have the same problems as Jamar Chase. He has a nasty release off the line of scrimmage. Even when he's not supposed to be open, he's just so smart with his technique. He knows how to get to the top of his route and find the soft spot and get open every single time. He's an elite route runner at this stage. So it's all about Jalen Hurts and what he can do. The team is not that bad.
No.
Yeah, John,
like I said, we got corners, the linebackers. The biggest question I would say is linebackers. We have guys who are playing, who are running, they're getting aggressive. They're playing outside of themselves a little bit more than normal. But I think that would always be our biggest question, is the linebacking core. And if we can get, a solid group out there that can play together. But I mean, you look
Alex
at
Singleton
the running back position. Well. Yeah. You look at the running back position. We've got some really good guys there.
Yep.
If someone were to say to me, I would pick you guys to win a division if, kind of like Jay said, if we can be assured that Jalen Hurts is going to go out and have a really good season. And I don't think you need him to go out and be a 4,000, 5,000 yard quarterback. You need him to throw for around 3,000 yards, run for another about 500-600 yards, turn around and hand the ball off to Gainwell.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Be careful what you say about the yards part, because that's all I've been told about my quarterback and what he needs to do to be considered a good quarterback. He got to get 5,000 yards and 75 touchdowns. I
don't care about none of that.
They're going to push that. They ain't going to believe it until he has to throw 4,000 yards or something. I agree with you. No. I'm just telling you what the average fan bombards about these type of quarterbacks. I think
Jalen's very comparable to Lamar.
I agree with you.
He has to go out there and do his thing. And if he does that well,
I'm with you.
We can win. Yeah. Turn around and hand the ball off. Gainwell gets his carries. Saunders gets his carries. Give him the ball. Howard, if he makes the team, he gets his carries. Let's make it happen. That's what you're wanting to do, right? You're not asking him to go out there and save the team. You're asking him to go out there and not make some of the mistakes that a lot of rookies make by trying to overthrow the ball, by trying to overread. You're going to make mistakes. This is pretty much your first year as a starter. You're still within your first season as a starter. So you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect. Play within yourself. Know the playbook. Know your check downs. Know how to get the ball out. You have the ability to move if you don't have a play and make it happen. That's all that you're there for. That's what you're there for. And as you develop, then you pick up more along the way. But you don't start off expecting that out of this guy in essentially his first season as a starter.
What's the Vegas line on wins for the Eagles?
They have the worst odds. I think it's like 210 or something. We have the worst odds.
No, that's not a number.
It's like plus 210, Don.
What's the over/under?
6.5.
Damn.
That's about right.
You don't think they're going to win that many?
Well, here's what's lucky about it all, though, man. You know, this is all based on stuff that happens before we've had a game. We know the lines are going to move once the game starts.
Amen.
Right.
It's gonna move.
Right.
They're basing everything off of last year.
There's got to be, and for me, as an I'm not an Eagles fan, obviously. I'm a Packers fan, so I'm just speaking from, what I see. I think the Eagles could very well end up being the second or third place team in this division. Like I said, I think they're better than the Giants. I think there's just like some things that I want to see personally to see put them over the edge. Like, can Miles Sanders catch the ball this season? Last season he didn't catch the ball very well. The rookie year he was catching it all over the field and a fantasy fucking monster a couple of years ago. But last year he regressed. So I want to see that. I want to see this new head coach. Obviously, you see Stefanski go into Cleveland, turn them into a playoff team. LaFleur took over for us over McCarthy. We started making the playoffs being 13-3 the past 2 years. So I think like a coaching change could be very beneficial. I just need to see it. You know what I mean? I got to see this guy coach first. Because the only headline I saw for him during the draft was he was playing rock, paper, scissors with draft picks. You know what I mean? So like I very well see your guys' points though. I'm going to pick Washington. I'm going to pick Washington just based off of what I've seen from them on their defense. That's solely the only reason.
Okay, so we got Eagles. Me and Cool got the Eagles winning, and the rest of y'all got Washington.
And no, Joe's got Dallas.
JJ got Dallas, and then
I was about
three
to
got
say,
Washington. Okay.
I was about to say.
Yeah, we know you ain't gonna pick Washington.
Dom, you picked Washington too?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm making sure you.
Hey,
I thought you were going to be on the
Galladay
Galladay train all year. I thought I was going to have to argue with you today.
Everybody watching, make sure y'all write this down. So when we come back at the end of the season, we'll have them receipts ready. All right.
I'm gonna remember. I don't need no receipt. I'm gonna remember.
I don't forget.
Pick and the
I
Eagles
don't forget stuff.
I'm gonna remember. I honestly, and at the end of the day, I do think I hear all you guys about all the teams that they've been in the division, but I think when you talk about rosters and the potential talent, I think Dallas just has the best one.
But Joseph, you forget one thing. Joe, you forget one thing. There's two sides to the ball. Dallas is hard on defense.
They have one of the worst defenses in the league.
I think with the changes that they have made, I think they're going to see a little bit of a revitalization.
Is Mike McCarthy still the head coach?
Defense is fucking terrible.
It doesn't matter.
Mike is fine. Like I said, I just think
he's fine. I love them having Mike McCarthy. I love Mike McCarthy for the Cowboys just as much as I love Jason Garrett for the Cowboys.
Between him and Jason Garrett.
Exactly. I hope he stays there for 2 years.
Aaron Rodgers could have won a ring with Jason Garrett as the head coach. He literally could have.
Wow, that says a lot about Mike McCarthy.
No, thank you. He absolutely could not. No,
I bet he could. This is Aaron Rodgers we were talking about. We're not just talking about any other quarterback.
I think Mike McCarthy's a better coach than Jason
Garrett. I don't care which one coach is better.
I
wish we would have more rings.
Not by much.
I think it's like
more
Z1
rings.
and Z2. So it doesn't matter.
He's just another one of those yes man like type of a coach that Jerry Jones loves.
Yeah.
I mean, the only issue I have with him, honestly, like for instance, like people picking fantasy drafts this week, like I wouldn't pick Zeke Elliott because Mike McCarthy don't know how to run a football. He never did in Green Bay.
That's why Zeke.
That was like his biggest crushing things. So like Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard, who you think isn't really that bad of a duo, but can Mike McCarthy put him in that kind of position is the question.
Yeah,
and I feel like the only way that
Zeke has been one of the most dominating running backs in the league since he was drafted in 2016. He has up until last year. He was pretty much led the league in rushing. From the time he came into the league, he led the league in rushing. Last year, Mike McCarthy gets there, has the worst season of his career.
Yep.
Granted, it was COVID, which also had an impact on it. But I think there's a common denominator when you look at that season Zeke had and you look at the numbers of all the running backs during his time in Green Bay, wasn't very good. So there's a common denominator there, clearly.
He relies on the McCarthy more in the run. And just like when Ty said, I passed on Ezekiel Elliott because Mike McCarthy. There's been times in the fantasy draft I've passed on a receiver because I'm considering who's throwing him the ball.
Right.
You know,
true
so
story.
System and other personnel
right.
play a whole
You don't want Cortland. You don't want Cortland Sutton on your team because Drew Lock's throwing him the fucking football. You know, it's no brainer. I'm with you.
In the preseason.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all like Sutton?
That offensive.
I like Sutton too.
Good.
I like Sutton too.
But do you like
I don't like who's throwing him the ball at all.
I don't like Drew Lock.
No.
Y'all so mean. Y'all so mean.
Hey, you got to be honest about these things, man. You got to be honest about.
You right. You right.
And we
gotta be.
And you know what? And you know what? We sat here and we had our criticisms about Ryan Fitzpatrick just now, right? So with that said, how many people passed on Terry McLaurin on that team?
He was a 4th-round pick, I think.
You know, and now last year I thought it was pretty good last year. You know,
that was a nice find for them, honestly.
It really was.
The NFC East has a lot of talent at wide receiver when you look at this division. Devontae Smith, there's CeeDee Lamb, there's Amari Cooper, Gallup with Dallas.
Yep.
Quez Watkins, people are high on him having a breakout season this year with the Eagles.
I think Fulgham's going to be.
He's got some Jets, man.
Guy.
He can really turn on the Jets. He was also only a 4th-round pick. Terry McLaurin's really good.
Yep.
You know,
Curtis Samuel ain't bad. He just went there. I like Curtis Samuel. Logan Thomas. I mean, don't sleep on him at tight end for Washington either.
Absolutely.
All right, so that's pretty much it. That's our NFC East preview. So now we're going to go to everyone's favorite part of the show, Sports Morons of the Week. This is where we bring up some of the dumbest things. You know, it could be anything from something someone said or did. You know, it's kind of like when you watch the NBA or you watch the NFL, they have the Come On Man segment or Shacked In. It's kind of like that. But it can really be, it's pretty much wide open. But there's a lot of shit we gotta address that happened this week. Let's talk about our first nomination, which is the owner of the New York Giants. Forget what his name is. Jim Mora or something.
Oh, Pat McAfee is dragging him
this
right now.
This guy came out and said, you know, we had a great discussion with like the board people in the NFL. And, you know, we're going to do something. We're taking a stand against all you people that keep taunting. The fans don't want to see that. It messes up with the integrity of the game and blah, blah, blah. Like, are you serious? Like, quarterback gets sacked. The player does a little celebration. He does a little dance.
Yeah.
He talks trash.
Just to give you context, he responded to that in terms of there was a preseason game that a guy got flagged for taunting, and it wasn't like an egregious act where one guy is going and talking shit to the other guy. Even the guy flexed after he got a touchdown, and they flagged him for it. So that's what. And so when John Mora said that, he didn't really gauge the audience and didn't gauge the room because it wasn't a dirty play, even close to a dirty play. It was a guy celebrating and showing passion. And then he said, we need to get rid of taunting. So that's why Pat McAfee is, Jim, an OnlyFans. It says I'm your only fan. It's hilarious. I was your only fan.
So, you know, obviously the news came out that OnlyFans is, they're getting rid of quote unquote explicit content. So, you know, I just wanted to pay tribute to all the young ladies out there.
Oh my God.
I feel sorry for you, but it's all right, man. There's other jobs, there's other opportunities out there. You just gotta update your resume. You might not want to put that on there. You might not want to put
oh my God.
Might be frowned upon. But
OnlyFans,
there's still hope for you.
And there are entertainment facilities that'll be opening up now that you know COVID is at least relaxed a little bit. Where you can still go and continue.
And this show is brought to you by Love Terrain Watches.
OnlyFans.
Wouldn't it be funny if we got a sponsorship by OnlyFans? about to start making bank. So, yeah, he definitely the owner of the New York Giants. The New York Giants overall deserves a full nomination because I don't even know if this report is true or not.
The Joe Judge one.
For his sake,
true.
I hope it's
true.
not. But they're saying that there was a scuffle at the Giants practice. They were joint practice.
It's true. Yeah,
it is true.
He said that they said that Joe Judge called the police and said that, well,
and not only that, he's calling it on his own team when you think of it.
If I can't teach my team accountability, then maybe the police can teach them accountability. I can't believe that. Like, it wasn't even that bad.
Those are the reasons why the Giants are fourth in the division.
The Giants.
This is what I've been saying, Joe. My point about the Giants is this team has been making the wrong storylines all offseason. The chemistry's just got to boil over, man. I'm just saying.
It's gotten bad.
Do they still have that same shitty GM?
Who, David Gettleman?
Yes.
Gettleman.
Yep, he sucks.
One of my favorite radio sports talk guys. Like he's a State fan. He hates the Lions because we suck, but really he's a Giants fan, and he's just been disgusted for multiple years, mostly about Dave Gettleman.
As he should be, and Joe Judge.
I mean, he drafted Daniel Jones with a 6th overall pick. What do you expect?
You know what the situation reminds me of? You know how you got some parents out there that can't get a hold of their wild team, so they might call the cops when they fuck up to scare them? That's Joe Judge.
Yeah.
Scared straight. He was trying to scare straight for his players.
Yeah.
Man,
it's another one of these dudes, and the Giants have been shitty for so long that they've been relegated to hiring coordinators to be a coach, and they just, no business doing that.
I've seen shows on the internet, I've seen other shows like what we're doing here on Facebook, and on YouTube, where this week even that a lot of people are picking the Giants to be, in the playoff running and winning this division. And I just personally
the Giants, they could.
Yeah, but I just personally don't see it. Personally,
I give them. I don't think they're going to be very good, even if Dak plays. If Dak doesn't play. I mean, no matter what, it's still a race to 7, even with the extra game.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying they're not going to be good.
Down, so. You were just saying 8. Now you're saying 7.
You're saying 7 and 10.
He's trying to move the goalpost.
7.
A little while he's going to be talking about
10 minutes ago, I said it's still a race.
I promise you that the winner of this division will win more than 8 games.
But you did start off with 8.
I think Joe has it. I think someone wins with 10 wins. I like Joe's pick.
Thank you. Something crazy.
9 or 10.
But I think the Giants win 4 to that point, Dom.
Stop it.
So the Giants are going to have a top 5 pick in the draft.
I'll agree with you in this.
Yeah, I agree.
If the Giants win 4, the Eagles only win 3. I will bet every one of you.
I want to.
You know what? That's the biggest joke I've heard all night.
I will bet.
You know what? We can put you on the last segment.
More games than the Eagles.
I want to bet on that. I want to bet on that because we backed out of the Stafford and Wentz bet, even though.
Oh, and look, Carson Wentz is back,
and it's still not going to be better than Stafford. So, but that's beside the point. But since you're saying that we only going to win 3 games,
Stafford ain't going to get you much either.
I'll take
but
that.
That's a topic for another day.
But Stafford is house money. I should be rooting against him, but I can't.
I mean, you could root for him. He ain't gonna get past the division. He ain't gonna. Stafford not gonna get.
He
past
said
the
69, and Joe Judge went up to.
You talk about.
Calling him a snitch,
bro. He is a snitch.
6'9".
Nah, but on the real, yeah, I think LA just pulled a Minnesota to Kirk Cousins move. They ain't gonna get farther than divisional round with Stafford, but if you want to spend that money, so be it.
Well, I mean, unless the rest of their team has gotten considerably worse, I don't see how.
Stafford's not that guy. Never thought he was, and he's been like that since his college days. He cannot get it done when you need him to get it done.
Better than
You'll think he may get it there.
But the thing is, no matter
he's got a great team around him, though.
Yeah, he's got a way better situation around him than when he was in Detroit.
I mean, that's fine, but you can't.
No matter what, the opinion about him will be negative.
No, everybody's allowed to have their opinion.
He's not
for
clutch.
Sure. But
Matthew
Stafford has a lot of game-winning drives in his career.
Again, at the end of the day, when it came time when he was in Georgia to try to win against SEC championship Alabama, he couldn't get it done. Same with
Alabama.
He doesn't have the roster around.
Alabama's been the standard of college football for a long time now.
No, at the end of the day, y'all can think he's going to get it done. I'll sit back like I was right about Kirk Cousins with Minnesota from 3 years ago. I'll sit back and be like, I told y'all.
I'm glad you brought up Kirk Cousins because I want to talk about something
no matter
else.
what, Stafford will not get his credit. Either he fails and people will be like, I told you, or he succeeds and they'll be like, yeah, it's the O-line and the defense.
Not at all. If he succeeds, then I'll give it to him on that one because the whole point of them bringing him in here is just like what Minnesota did with Kirk Cousins. He's the guy we need to take him over the top. Personally, I don't think he'll do it. Just like I said about Kirk Cousins back in the 3 years ago. The same thing. We'll find out. If he gets it done, I'll be like, yeah, for sure. You definitely proved me wrong. But I don't think you're going to do it. And
popular opinion will never give Stafford his credit.
Wes says he'll take Stafford over Kirk Cousins any day of the week.
Yeah.
So will I.
I wouldn't take either if I had the choice, honestly.
So I'm glad you brought up Kirk Cousins. Though. Are you guys aware that Everson Griffin has returned to the Minnesota Vikings?
Yes.
And there were some leaked tweets from last season, I believe, where he's over here saying Kirk Cousins is trash and like all this other stuff. So now he apparently had to apologize to Kirk Cousins for saying that since he's now back with the team. So it's pretty awkward. But I just thought that was funny.
He right though. He ain't wrong.
He's not really lying.
He's really lying.
What do you say? He just got to apologize because that's his teammate, but he didn't tell the story.
Yeah, and earlier we talked about. And earlier we talked about.
He's not trash. He's just overpaid.
Yeah, earlier we were talking about it, and I think it was TJ that said he was washed. My point about it earlier was that he could have just been in the wrong situations in Dallas and in Detroit. If he's coming in as a situational player now with Minnesota, where he went to the Pro Bowl 4 times, like he could definitely kind of have a resurgent year. Don't forget, like, I'm not saying Jimmy Graham's great, but he sucked on the Packers, and he did get 8 to 10 touchdowns, I believe, last season with the Bears. So he had 5 total in Green Bay for 2 years. So, like, it does, you could be in a different situation and flourish.
Everson Griffin will still be very productive as a rotational player. I'll compare it.
And I hate the Vikings for anyone that's watching, by the way.
I'll compare it to the Philadelphia Eagles because the Philadelphia Eagles have been making signings similar to that for years, dating back to the year they won the Super Bowl. They signed Chris Long, and Chris Long was a great player once, but at that point, he was a rotational guy. This offseason, they picked up Ryan Kerrigan. He's going to be a rotational guy. So now Everson Griffin is going to be a rotational guy. He'll probably get 4 or 5 sacks. Kerrigan? And that's all we brought back.
We brought back Randall Cobb, I think, you can have homecomings, and some guys just work in better systems than others.
Yeah, and now we're going to talk about one more sports moron, and I'm gonna give the floor to Tyler, but I'm gonna be nominating Mr. Kevin King because after practice they have all the little interviews and all the media people asking questions. So Kevin King, I like the confidence, but this is not a guy that I feel should be talking after his performance in the NFC Championship. Kevin King, Mr. Kevin King said, quote unquote, I know I can be one of the top players in this league and nobody can take that from me.
Oh God.
So T.I., what are your thoughts on that?
There are a lot of things. For one, he's on a team-friendly deal this year. Like, a lot of people don't know that he's only getting paid like $1 million. He has a lot of incentives. Like, he's not going to get paid another $1 million unless he plays like 12 games, which he hasn't. He's played 4 years in the league. He's only played more than 11 games in one of those seasons. He has played 8 games in one season. He has played 11 games in another season, and he's played 6 in another season. So this guy can't even stay healthy, and then he really shouldn't be saying anything. Now, as far as his play in the NFC Championship, which was abysmal, it was awful. I fucking hate him, to be honest. We're talking about a player I really don't like on my football team. This guy don't go to the dentist. I don't understand how he's rich and doesn't go to the fucking dentist. Like, his teeth are mangled. And, but on top of that, like, he got beat by
get on that Invisalign.
Yeah, and on top of that, like, I will give some fault to Mike Pettin because I don't understand why we are playing a cover one robber on Scotty, on the fastest player on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers receiving core with Kevin King on him. So you're telling me you're not going to put one of your fastest guys in Adrian Amos in the backfield playing preventive defense? You're going to play a cover one robber and just get burned? And then Tom Brady's going to light you up for a 40-yard Hail Mary before halftime. So, like, it is Patton. So it is Patton's fault too. But no, I think Kevin King needs to shut up, and I think he needs to work harder because he's not that far off of getting passed up from Stokes, and Stokes taking his job anyway.
So, to be honest with you, James Bradbury back in like a couple years ago had that 300-yard game against Julio Jones where everybody just trashed him. And now he's considered a top 7, top 5 corner in the league. So I'm not saying that's the same situation for Kevin King, but you can change a moment.
Sure, he can't stay healthy is Kevin King's real problem. And when he plays, he hasn't impressed anyone with his performances. But I agree with you, Joe. Maybe he has a resurgent year. I would like to see him stay healthy for a full year. Because I doubt he plays. I sincerely doubt he makes it the entire season this year because he's never done it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, he wasn't that good to start with.
True.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think
he's not Jair Alexander. That's for fuck's sake.
Jair is one of the best corners in the NFL.
One of the.
Listen, Tom Brady threw that ball 3 times Jair's way in that game because he knew he had a matchup anytime that someone was guarding Kevin King or Chandler Sullivan. He was picking on that side the entire game. He threw it 3 times Jair Alexander's way and was snatched and picked off twice from Jair in that game.
Are you saying Jair Alexander is not a top 5 corner?
Oh, he easily is, Dom.
I'm talking about Dom because he said,
I just want to know who's better. Who's better? You think White's better? I don't think White's better.
Yeah, he is.
I think Ramsey's better than Jair Alexander. I agree with you there.
Yep.
You think Tre'Davious White is better than Jair Alexander?
I'd rather have Jair.
I don't know who Tre'Davious White is, but Tre'Davious White.
Tre'Davious White, yeah. Tre'Davious, but we could talk about body of work. Why is he better than Jair Alexander? Jair has played more games than he has.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he might be top 5.
Fuck that Lions and Packers.
He is top 5, without a doubt.
I'm kind of like blanking out on other like elite.
Marlon Humphrey.
So what you're saying is you can't be top 5?
No, definitely
hold
not
up.
Marlon Humphrey.
Hold up. The Ravens.
Oh, you're gonna get Joseph started now.
No, I'm just bringing up corners.
The Ravens fan was
Marlon is pretty good, bro.
The Ravens fan was just sitting here minding his business. He wasn't saying not a damn thing.
And listen, I was gonna bring up Gilmore. I was gonna bring up Denzel Ward. I was bringing up everyone.
Ward, yes. Gilmore, not consistently anymore.
I still think Humphrey's a good cornerback, Joe. I'm not arguing that.
He's good.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just listing because we're talking about a top 5 and whether Jair Alexander is in the top 5, and I believe he is. And Dom said he isn't, so I'm wondering which 5 are better.
He might be.
My corner is hurt right now. He hurt. So I think Jair's top 5.
His excuses.
Jair's top 5. Jair's top 5.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he's definitely top 5, bro. Like, the guy's a beast. So, does anybody else have any sports morons they want to share before we stop the show?
Yes.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Dom.
Moron.
Whichever person or persons try to compare Zach Wilson based off the strength of 1 or 2 offensive series, they try to compare him to Dan Marino.
Oh my God, who did that?
Really?
That's so disrespectful.
Like I heard that and I threw up in my mouth a little bit.
Man, people care about preseason football too much, a little bit.
Way too much.
I know it's important. Like, but come on, what?
It's important, but it's not.
Literally,
It's not
right now. Preseason football. These 3 weeks, This is the largest concentration of sports morons of the week for the whole.
Oh, we forgot to talk about that.
Joe, I know you guys are 19-0 or something preseason. Is that what you're going to tell me?
And I was about to sit here and say, I don't give a damn.
I know. Listen,
listen.
I say this every week to James that I make a point. I say, James, they don't need to have scoreboards in preseason football games because they don't matter.
Remember when the Lions went undefeated in the preseason?
And then
I
think we should play 1 week preseasons and just do joint practices because I don't give a fuck about.
I agree with that.
No, the
preseason's
for the coaches and everything. I'm just laughing at the fact that we had a perfect season in the preseason.
Yeah, you guys always have. You guys are, in terms of preseason record, you guys are a fucking dynasty. You're 19-0. Yeah,
they're almost to the longest winning streak in preseason. The Ravens are.
I mean, the Ravens they pretty much always have good depth. So
but that's what I was about to,
their 2s and 3s are better than everyone else's 2s and 3s.
To your point, Dom, that's why I like preseason because it's for the coaches and it's good to see the guys. And I will say, unfortunately, unlike Dom's 4-0 Detroit Lions, we went 4-0, but typically we kind of maximize a record in the regular season, similar to the preseason. We're not like a bad team.
I knew that was coming.
He's gonna bring up the win total on the regular season when they matter.
I brought it up first.
No, the Browns went undefeated in the preseason and they won like one game.
At the end of the day, this is kind of the year that I really kind of think if we're going to make a splash.
The Hugh years when they went, they had this Super Bowl celebration for being 0-16 or 1-15.
So you feel that the Ravens are the biggest threat to the Chiefs, not the Buffalo Bills?
No.
Or the Browns?
It's the Browns.
For me, and I'm not even saying this as being a Ravens fan. Oh yeah, I think talent for talent. I think we could compete with any team. At the end of the day, when it comes to the Chiefs, every single time we play them, they get in our head. This is just like what it was when we played Peyton Manning up until he got to the point where we actually got a chance to beat him in that 2012 NFC Divisional.
Kobe Jones.
So at the end of the day,
I think Baltimore and Cleveland are going to win double digits this year.
It's mental. It's all mental. But I like how the season's set up because at the end of the day, we have to finish the season with 5 of 7 games in the division. So we're not going to get a break. But that's how we like it. So at the end of the day, yeah, I do think we could beat teams like Buffalo. We could get teams like Kansas City. At the end of the day, Buffalo only beat us because of one bad mistake by my quarterback. And it wasn't like he said that when made a bad mistake. He was just late. At the end of the day, Dom, he still got further than your quarterback did.
Call me crazy, but I think the Titans are a real threat in the AFC. They don't have no defense is my only thing with the Titans.
Your quarterback that has...
Neither did the Chiefs.
Each year, he's done something
True.
different. At the end of the day...
But their offensive line got a lot better, and they went to the Super Bowl the past couple years, so...
Well, Titans made some moves to get younger, too, so they should be a lot better this year.
I'm with Bacon.
Why do people keep trying to bring up the Lions like we're relevant? I'm here to talk shit about y'all's teams, not mine.
Well, the thing is just you might have.
Do you hear me and Jay like trying to laud our teams? We know we're
just minding his business.
We know our teams ain't gonna be shit. Like ain't worth.
We know we suck.
So, but
we're playing on house money.
The difference is Jay ain't talking shit. You talking shit. You need to be quiet. You know, because at the end of the day, whether y'all want to say something or not, and I made the point of this earlier in the week on some post. I said. When they made that post about Lamar saying he was figured out, I said, okay, great. You said he was figured out in 2018. He wouldn't have won an MVP. You said he was figured out in 2019. He wins his first playoff game. Keep saying he's been figured out because every time you say that, he tends to do something different and gets us further and further to where we want to go. So by all means, say he's been figured out because it seems to be working in the Ravens' favor because they keep inching closer and closer. On top of every season, somebody says
I agree. Beast, I agree with you. I have the Browns as a potential Super Bowl
real
contender.
quick.
Lamar's just got to win
picking
that
against
big game in the playoffs.
Every year the Eagles are good. It's what everybody says we aren't. Keep doing it.
We were last place in 2016. 2017, they won the Super Bowl. So you can't really base everything off of the Eagles. They won 4 games last year. It's a different team.
I think the Eagles are going to be all right. And I think the Browns, I'm not tripping on the Browns. I know they're going to be good. Because at the end of the day, they finally get it. They ain't thinking about nobody else. They're not talking about paper champions or nothing like that. They just out here ready to play, and it starts with their quarterback. Their quarterback has grown up in the last 2 years. That man had grown up, and I knew it for a fact after the Mason Rudolph incident. I knew that Cleveland was going to be fine. I was like, yeah, Baker has come to where he needs to be, so he understands how to be an NFL quarterback in this league.
Baker is still the weakness.
To be honest, though, I think the Browns got. I think the Browns got better,
definitely
though.
The weakness.
I think the Browns got better this offseason, though. You get Johnson, a great safety. You get Troy Hill, a great cornerback. You go and have a great draft. I mean, let's not talk about, like, Newsom's been very impressive in these preseason games. He's going to take over Greedy Williams, who can't stay healthy for the Browns. And then on top of that, they get Joke from Notre Dame, who I believe is a good player. No, I think Newsom's going to be good. You want to bet on that one?
No, I'm just saying, like, you can't write off Greedy yet. He got hurt in his rookie year. He's coming back. They're getting Grant Delpit back. The Browns have the best roster in the league. The only thing stopping them from serious contention is a rash of injuries or Baker Mayfield.
Listen, it's them too. Just them in general.
I see what you're trying to say.
Explain Baker Mayfield.
I see what he's trying to say.
The NFL's AFC representation.
You're not.
And they got screwed in that game, Joe. They had that game won. If there wasn't that stupid rule, Cleveland wins that game.
Is trying to make it seem like Baker Mayfield is gonna hold the Browns back.
They run the football. They run the football, Dom. They'll be okay.
Right. Well, that's
We're not asking a lot of him.
The less times Baker has to throw, the greater chance that Cleveland wins those games.
They have the best running back duo in the league. They have a
they're run first.
They have a good defense.
I agree with Dom. I agree with you. They can run the football. They can hurt defenses, and their defense has gotten improved. And Stefanski won Coach of the Year for a reason. It's going to be whether the fans can contain it.
I don't necessarily agree with Dom in the simple fact of the matter is the team he lost to had a better quarterback. At the end of the day, Baker went up against a pretty good quarterback in the team. Whether you're going to say they're not, they were 11-5 in Pittsburgh. Baker wasn't really the problem. Baker actually has been the reason why they've been able to kind of get a little bit better. So I don't really agree with the fact that you say it's all on Baker at the end of the day. Because
after
Baker
OBJ got hurt, Baker got better.
A Kansas City Chiefs team that was just representation of the AFC playoff, the AFC representation in the Super Bowl. Baker has progressed them to a point better than anyone ever gave him credit for. So I'm not going to sit here and say anything on Baker and say that he's the reason why they might potentially fail, because I think Baker's not the problem.
Baker's not a liability. He's not a liability. There should be a lot worse quarterbacks in the league playing.
Baker's no longer in liability.
Listen, I think for the Browns, way
to clear it up, Jay.
They got it figured out.
Right.
The biggest threat to the Chiefs is going to come out of the AFC North. It's going to be the Browns or the Ravens. I see it even. It's going to be Browns or Ravens.
Yeah, I think that I agree with you, Jay. I think those sold on Buffalo. I think those two teams. I think those two teams, though, are going to be so competitive this year between, and I know the Ravens have owned the Browns, Joe. Like I'm familiar with it all. Like I've seen it. But that being said, I think Cleveland's never been this good. To me, with the Browns, it's going to be the moment, right? This team is not used to being good again. And that goes with the fans and how big is this moment?
That's a good point.
And how big this moment's going to be for them. But on paper and the way they played last year, I absolutely think they're a threat to go to the Super Bowl for sure.
Oh no! At the end of the day,
I think that's
Jay. How are you going to count out the Bills?
I think that's a great point that Tyler just brought up, because
I think the Browns are a better team than the Bills.
The last winning season they had was 2007. They went 10-6. The last time they went to the playoffs before last season was 2002. They have not won a division title since 1989. So you're right. The fans ain't used to being this good just yet.
Bring it
again, because last year they probably didn't have
better roster.
Expectations.
The Bills have the better quarterback. So
Bring
how does
it.
How does that win the scale?
Okay,
so here's my thing on the quarterback take. I'll say this, right? We've seen a really good year from Josh Allen. We've seen one really good year from Josh Allen. He got him paid. Props to him. Get your money where you can get it. We saw a pretty decent year from Baker Mayfield. So I'm not going to crown Josh Allen as this great quarterback moving forward until we see it do it more than once. Now everybody knows what he's going to do.
That 100%. He was already
everybody's going to be able to watch him. and they're going to be able to say, okay, these are his tendencies. This is what he likes to do now that he's playing better. These are things that he still needs to work on. So let's try to take away the things that he does well and make him do the things that he doesn't do so well.
Anymore.
Okay, so he's a perfect quarterback. That's what you're saying.
He's better than
Okay.
Hold up. This is what I want to say. This is what I want to say about Josh Allen. I'm with you 100% because we've seen guys that's had a good year and then they come back out, and now that they have that expectations, they don't perform at the same level. So he has to know that he has those high expectations now.
That's
You've
possible.
been paid. You were an MVP finalist last year. So you know what? You got to go out there and perform because you are going to have the target on your back now.
That's entirely possible. But Josh Allen vastly improved on his only weakness, completion percentage.
Lord, he had one receiver come over. That was the reason why he got that better rating, bruh.
That helped.
Now. Let's look at the fact that the playoffs, bruh. We can look at the first game against the playoffs against the Baltimore Ravens, and then the AFC.
Great point, Wes.
Against Kansas City Chiefs.
The Colts even. They almost lost that game to the Colts.
Right. Stephon Diggs got locked up in the divisional round against the Ravens in the first half. It was 3-3. The minute he started getting off, Josh Allen looked a lot more comfortable. I need to see him do this again and realize that when it comes down to it, if Stephon Diggs not available, the same problem with my quarterback in Lamar Jackson is the same problem with Josh Allen. You're not there yet, and people keep saying he's there, and I'm like, no, he's not. He's almost there, but he's not there.
He's got a much better chance to be there because now he's finally got a legitimate number one receiver.
Yes, but what's going to happen if Stephon Diggs goes up against a corner that's going to get the best of him? He's got to learn how to go to someone other than Stephon Diggs.
Right.
But they did go out.
If Stephon Diggs gets taken out of the game, what is Josh Allen going to do? How is he going to adjust?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair point.
And Cole Beasley, has to have another good year, and they have to have Emmanuel Sanders, who I believe they signed this offseason, him to kind of step up a little bit for them too. But like with Buffalo, the same thing I said with Cleveland, it's going to be how they handle this moment. Buffalo is not a franchise that has been known to be a powerhouse. They were when they went to the Super Bowl. When they went to the Super Bowl 4 times with the Sack King, but they lost every one of those ones. And in Cleveland, the same thing. Like Jay said, they haven't won their division since 1989, and now all of a sudden they're a Super Bowl contender. How do the fans and everyone handle that moment at like First Energy Stadium, for example? Because they could shrink in the biggest moment. Who knows?
Yeah, it is about the moment because a lot of teams perform better when they don't have the expectations on them. Last season, Cleveland did not have those expectations on them, and it worked to their favor. Now they do, so they have to respond.
They did, and they had their moment, so to speak, last season, especially when Patriots went out in the divisional round and Chad Henne had to finish the game. That was to Cleveland. That Cleveland should have taken that. We talked about this last year. Cleveland should have taken that game.
Well, here's the thing. Hold on, Jay. Jay, to your point. In the AFC North, in the AFC North, you need to beat 2 teams. You've only beat one, Cleveland. You have to beat the other one to really claim your supremacy in the division.
Yes.
Beat them both, and you got it. You haven't beat us yet. You got to beat us and Pittsburgh for anyone to really think like, okay, this team is about that life.
Yeah, of course.
And that's going to be first and second place in the division because the other 2 teams won't be there.
I don't think Pittsburgh has a chance.
I don't think
Pittsburgh is not a threat.
Yeah, the offensive line I think is going to hurt Pittsburgh, and they did lose like Bud Dupree.
Not very good.
So we're going to see what TJ Watt does on defense without him.
Tyler, we all know who their real threat in the AFC North is. Okay,
it's Browns and Ravens for sure.
Bengals.
We know who the team that actually is the one that can beat both teams and has done it in the last couple of years. We know who that team is. The wild card of the AFC North is the Ravens. If the Ravens click on, the AFC North is theirs. If they struggle, the AFC North is somebody else's. It's just what it is.
Gotcha. All right, well, guys, we've been actually running over a little longer than we normally do, but it happens. Sometimes you just get lost when you're talking about football. But, we had a lot of really good conversations tonight. Once again, guys, you guys see the ticker at the bottom of your screen.
I'm lit.
Gauntlet. And also, my
take one more
channel
shot.
Is sponsored by La Terrain, men's washing and accessories. All kinds of stuff you get on there. Some really cool watches. Some really nice stuff, some bags, belts, all kinds of stuff on there. You just have to check it out. The link is down below in the description. That being said, does anyone want to shout out any other podcasts that they do and other places, other social medias where you guys want to get people to follow you? Feel free to say it now.
This is the only one for me.
I love you, Dom.
Hey, man, Dom's a simple man. I respect
Dom don't be on shit else.
I love
I respect that.
Yeah, I'll do a shout out. You guys can check me out on Cage Ragers. It's an MMA and combat fighting page that's on Facebook, so you guys can join that. We usually talk about all the UFC fights, the boxing fights, MMA in general, Bellator, all those events. And then we do a show usually on Saturday mornings if it's a UFC card. It's usually me, my friend Cody Jones, and my friend Johan Phillips, and we usually go down the cards and break down the predictions each week. We usually keep track of who had a good week and who didn't. Like last week, I had a good week. I edged those guys out. So we do that every week. And then you guys can also catch me on the Sip Off on Thursday nights, hosted by Megan Price.
Price is Right.
That's right. Price is Right.
Who came up with that finally?
And on 8 o'clock on Thursday nights.
I've been saying it a lot in my head, but I feel like it's kind of cringe, so I didn't want Megan to get pissed off. So I kind of kept it to myself.
Bob Barker's a legend. Who cares?
Out there real quick.
Did you know in Happy Gilmore, Bob Barker did his own stunts?
That makes him even more of a G, honestly.
Yeah, he's more gangster now.
Respect that, man.
It really does.
What?
Yeah, I'll
the
do my
man that
shout outs,
got me
man.
into Price is Right.
Go ahead, cool.
No, I was gonna say you can catch me on Thursdays as well on the Sip Off with Megan Price. Friday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, Interactive Sports Talk, playcallersportstalk.com, and you can follow me on Instagram at cool_McCain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right,
and Fly Eagle Fly.
Yes, sir. Go Birds, baby.
Whoa,
Go Pack, go.
You can find me on Twitter. I'm at NellyNail13. That's NELI13. You can also find me on here on the Sports Gauntlet on Tuesdays at 8:15, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Also, you can find me on the Sip Off on Thursdays. It's hosted by Megan Price, John Phillips, and Anthony Brown. Also, I'm a staff writer and journalist for Visual Dramatics. It's an upstart company it's about to hit a year old here next month. The averaging a million streams a month. Any young talent, anything out there. So writers, actors, actresses, singers, producers. Got a lot of good shows, a lot of good material coming up. I do live commentaries on there for the time being. I'm about to post another one up very soon. Shout out Craig Davis, shout out Marshall Hill, my Unconventional Kings fam. One love. I'll see y'all next week.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Joe finally found his way out of that cave.
Yes.
By the way, thanks everybody
JJ
for
is a
tuning
real
in.
person, guys.
And by the way,
This is what he
everyone
looks like.
that's tuned in on James's YouTube page, I seen Wes, Bacon Gizzler, Beast was on here, and
Bunch of people.
yeah, a
Had
bunch
a
of
lot
people.
of people in tonight.
Yeah, everybody. So thanks for tuning in.
Well,
Yeah,
yes,
guys.
absolutely. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to know anything about the wildlife, that's kind of been my forte these last couple months. So,
He's a wildlife
you can
expert.
Find me on my Facebook, JJ Jenkins, talking about anything as terms as like wildlife, but
Komodo
also
Joe.
Sip Off as well. I am a big Ravens fan, and I'm definitely happy to be on the show with you guys. And so you never know what you may learn when I talk about the wildlife on my page. So
We're waiting for the Raven segment about the wildlife, like the actual Ravens.
Oh, there's some scavengers, man. So you're more than happy to come follow us.
JJ gonna have his own show on the Animal Planet.
I mean, a raven and a crow are the same thing, aren't they?
Yes, basically.
Two things about you, JJ.
I feel like
And they're both like huge accomplishments. One, straightest gay man I know. Two, you seem to know, like, your knowledge about the rest of the teams in your division is unmatched.
He really does his homework.
Yeah,
Gotta give him
Jay's
credit.
And I just
a
realized that
Jay's a big
the other
football
day.
fan. You could tell. You could tell
Man.
Jay knows the shit.
I am humbled by those words, Dom.
JJ.
For sure.
You know, they got
being the straightest gay male is the problem because ain't nobody else in my community likes this shit. So I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Talk about fashion? No.
And listen, guys, he really knows his shit about the African safari too. So tune into JJ's page to check it out.
Tune into National Geographic.
Everyone's talking about the versuses between the artists like Locks versus Dipset or Cash Money versus this, and he's like hyenas versus cougars. Who's gonna win?
Yeah. It's true though. It's true.
The real life versus battle.
Hear it.
That's right. Peace, y'all.
All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you.
All right, now, y'all.